panel discussion. So my next question is for Gopal Saxena Sahab. Sir, all these questions we have asked the audiences in the past, that whomsoever. So we have got some questions from the audiences. So BSES is already at 11% loss. So, sir, how do you feel technology will help bring these losses further? So to add on to this, so BSES is a success story from 2005 in 12 years, from 65% losses to 11%. So what have been the evaluation of metering over this 10, 11 years in BSES? If you can throw a light on to this.
Thank you, Jitenji. I could talk for 1 hour and still not be saying enough, but given the time constraint, first of all, I think I would like to compliment AIMA and all its constituents for the tremendous work that they have been doing in the Indian electrical space, and the names that they have created for themselves, whether be it in metering, whether be it in equipment and transformer manufacture, in many other areas, in cabling, in bunched cables, and they have set the standards for technological advancement, process advancement, which we, utilities, use regularly. So a big round of applause for all these equipment and metering manufacturers. Second point, I'll go point per point.
Sir, please.
Jitenji talked about the combined experience over here in excess of 130.
Sir, 75. Huh? This is what I calculated very quickly.
75, all right, whatever. If I include all these, then I'm sure we are above 100. The history of electricity in India is just 110 years old. Please bear in mind, the first electricity station came up in Calcutta in the year 1905. And today, electricity is such an intrinsic part of our lives. And not only electricity, these phones are such an intrinsic part of our lives. The internet is such an intrinsic part of our life that we cannot imagine a life without this. And yet 10 years back, none of these phones were there. 10 years back only. When you look at the evolution of the electricity sector, again I'll take you back some years. We started off with DC supply. Old Delhi, up till 1960s, had DC supply. It was a small area and it was possible to have DC supply over there. Lots of parts of UP were only through DC supply. Pardon me? I know, I'm just saying, Kanpur to main raha hu, so but lots of parts, entire UP was DC supply. And this whole thing changed from 1960s onwards towards AC supply, largely because the load started going up. And it was no longer economical to be able to supply power on the direct current route. But today, we have gone full circle, where today, in terms of smart cities, it does make sense to now look at DC supply as specific options given the digitization in equipment and the network that has taken place. LEDs, for instance, work on DC only. A lot of our smart TVs work on LED only. These phones work on DC only. So having said as much, this is the same thing that has obtained in metering. Now you will understand why I raised this issue. You know, BSES installed smart meters from 2004-2005. Today our meters are fully smart. They are TOD compliant. They capture all the essential requirements which help us to plan our networks suitably, which help us to monitor SAIDI, SAIFI properly, which help us to evaluate network growth suitably, which help us to determine areas of shortfall, and obviously, which is the main part of the meter, to be able to bill our consumers properly. But this journey has seen its ups and downs. The first standards that were made in terms of all the metering requirements, to this day, the structural part of the meter remains the same. What we gathered in 2005, we gathered today in 2017. What has changed? Number one, with the tremendous work done by all the meter manufacturers, whether it be Genus, whether it be Secure, whether it be Landis+Gyr, whether it be L&T, anti-theft features have continuously been built into the meters. So what happens is that even though my basic characteristics remain the same, the anti-theft measures make these meters far more robust, far more reliant, and impervious to theft. But Delhi being the theft capital of the world, every time these people devise something, and we work with them very closely, I am sure there are 20 others outside who will find ways to break it. It's like the finance bill or the finance act, where every time a new act comes, there are people sitting out there finding ways to circumvent it. So what's changing? The smartness is coming in the way theft is controlled. That's the first part. The second part is in terms of flow of data. When we started off, all the data, mind you, BSES is the only utility in India which has these smart meters. Not even Bombay has. And all the data that we get is downloaded into handheld devices or through AMRs. When we started off, these handheld devices were provided by Analogic. And there was a cost associated to it. But we recognized that the robustness, the sturdiness, the firewalls that were placed allowed us to provide far better service, mind you, service to a consumer. As a result of which, virtually all billing complaints have disappeared. Today there are no billing complaints within our utility. That's something great. When I joined this company, I was amazed. There were always provisional bills, this bill, that bill, and I was forever having to regulate or do something to remove those anomalies. Today we hardly get to see any billing complaint. So this is a great service to a consumer, perhaps something which has not even been recognized. But you ask any consumer and they'll tell you that today they are satisfied on the billing front, that there is no garbage. The second challenge was in being, as I said, in downloading that data. We had these handheld devices. And I remember 2007, we started looking at GSM technology for our AMRs. That GSM technology, nascent in its advancement, in its form, allowed us to download data at 96 baud. 96 baud is like your old teleprinter, telefax machines. And even for that, we used to pay 96 rupees per AMR to any of the technology suppliers. There is a reason why I'm stating this. As technology progressed, as convergence of internet, telecommunications, media came in, we gradually migrated to GPRS and CDMA. A lot of our AMRs went on to CDMA. Unfortunately, CDMA was withdrawn. So this whole concept of data assimilation has itself gone through a, if I may say, paradigm shift. And today, we talk of open canopy and we talk of open standards, which we are evaluating. We'll possibly be the one of the only utilities who will actually, today we have trials going on. We are talking of RF open canopy in the free spectrum, in the paid spectrum, and we are talking of PLC. Now, all these technologies have been associated only with the basic meter, where the constituents of data that we download remain the same. The fourth thing that is important is that even as we look towards moving to, and this is more so for utilities outside, into a smarter regime, it is important to set the security and the processes for deployment of these smart meters. You know, you just can't go and put a meter somewhere and say this is smart. No, I'm sorry. You have to seal that meter. You have to put it into your system. You have to ensure that before it is installed, it is tamper-proof. You have to get it into your GIS. You have to tag it to a distribution transformer. All those are back-end, which nobody actually looks at. And finally, you have to set in place a meter data management system, a head-end system, so that you can get all the data and analyze it properly. One of the biggest areas where we have succeeded is in the analytics, which helps us in determining which are the areas that are stressed, which are the areas that need greater attention, which are the consumers where there is a propensity for tamper or theft. And that is a humongous exercise. So, even as we progress ahead, I doubt if the basic characteristics of the meters and the data that they allow us to get down will change. Because we virtually get everything. It is in how we are able to communicate, how we are able to address, and how we are able to use that data. Dr. Verma mentioned about, and Jitendra also mentioned about, whether at 8.4% it would make sense for us to go into smart metering. I say yes unequivocally. If you look at South Delhi is exactly at 8.5% load, AT&C loss. West Delhi, there are certain areas where it is somewhat higher, which brings down the average to 11%, but South Delhi is already at 8.5. Similarly, in East Delhi, many parts of East Delhi are under 10. It is only a few challenged areas, I don't want to name them, which take the average up to 12.5, 12.6%. But even there, 100% of all connections are metered through these smart meters. The data is downloaded. 98% we have actual data coming through. Now, what does it do to me? I'll tell you. Apart from metering, which obviously I do very well with the consumer, it helps me to analyze my network growth. It helps me to identify pockets where there are problems. It helps me to do load planning. Today, just for your benefit, BSES pays something like 13,000 crores towards its energy bills. Out of that 13,000 crores, we have to schedule power from various plants, and if the power is not scheduled suitably, the power goes under UI. So I am today drawing power at an average of, let's say, 5 rupees, 4 rupees 70 paise, 5 rupees. After losses, it comes to about 6 rupees, etc. 1%. There is a huge saving. So what Dr. Verma was mentioning, it's not just metering. And all this is a service to a consumer. Because at the end of the day, if we are able to bring down these losses, the cost of electricity to a consumer is lower. These are things which possibly need to be, if I may say so, brought to the attention of consumers in a far more effective manner, so that the benefits of the smart metering are visible to each and every person. I could go on, as I said, but I think I'll close over here.